Do you like horror games, but are you maybe too afraid to play alone? Well, we've got 20 of the best cooperative horror games you should check out. Starting off at number 20, we're gonna keep it pretty basic with the most recent Sons of the Forest. If you like survival games, but ones that are actually kind of spooky, the Forest games definitely nail that with their creepy creatures and just an air of unsettling atmosphere. You can kind of ease up that atmosphere a little bit if you're playing with some friends. Sons of the Forest actually supports up to 8 players cooperatively, so you guys can get busy building, crafting, surviving, doing the whole thing. It really helps to have a friend when you're going into some of those creepy caves and checking out those nasty monsters. Sons of the Forest by any means is not like the scariest game, and it is especially not scary when you're playing it with some friends, but it is horror themed. It's pretty gross. And even though it's in early access, people really liked it, but we're expecting a lot more to come from this one because even the early access was a massive success. So we expect the developers to really add and grow this game out over time. And that's always better enjoyed with a friend. Next, over at number 19, we have GTFO, which you can guess what that stands for. This is a cooperative horror game that released in early access in late 2019, but it got its full-fledged release towards the end of 2021. And in this, you and other players are grouping up to seek valuables deep below the Earth's surface after like an asteroid strikes the planet. But of course, that asteroid brought some creepy, gross things. You're going through maps, you're looking for resources, you're hunting for stuff, and you're fighting off some pretty disgusting monsters in environments that just have a really good sense of light and dark. Like the dark areas of these game maps are incredible and really adds to the spooky factor. It is absolutely worth checking out if you've seen YouTube videos or something. Like, you really have to play it to kind of feel the intensity of it because it can get a little Left 4 Dead-ish if you're playing cooperative. Either way, it's a cool, creative, fun game with good spin on a classic formula that not enough people really talk about. Next, over at number 18, we have The Killing Floor 2. This is a wave-based zombie shooter game, and in this, you're fighting off Zeds. The idea in this wave-based shooter is that the enemies and everything just gets tougher as it goes, and it can be a pretty challenging shooter. It's a lot more fun with a friend, but either way, you're getting a ton of gore, some, like I said, really, really nasty-looking zombie creatures, and just a good amount of challenge. Killing Floor 2 released on Steam in like 2016, but there's a reason why people are still playing this one. It's because it's awesome. People have been loving it on Steam, and they're making a third game. We didn't include it on this list because at the time of making this video, that game is not out yet, so keep your eyes peeled for The Killing Floor 2, but in the meantime, play the second one. Next, over at number 17, if we're keeping with the whole cooperative zombie horde shooter thing, it's worth mentioning Back 4 Blood. Is Back 4 Blood perfect? Does it even totally capture the essence of some of the games it's inspired by? No, but it's a good quick pick up and play, blast through it with your friends because there are some cool maps, some cool moments, and just a good amount of challenge. I don't know if this game has had the lasting impact that the developers really were hoping for, but if you're playing through with a friend and you progress through the whole thing, you'll probably still have a good time. Because the shooting feels good, the zombies are nasty, and it's got some narrative and interesting elements to it. Now, it's worth pointing out that at this point, the game is a bit more dead. The developers haven't really been supporting it too much, and some people are kind of upset, but if you just jump in, play with a friend, play through it, and don't expect any groundbreaking new updates, you'll have a zombie shooter on your hand. Next, over at number 16, it is worth mentioning if we're talking about these style of games, Call of Duty Zombies. Doesn't matter which one, some are spookier, some are more zany and over the top and fast paced, but Call of Duty Zombies does have a foothold in the co-op horror shooter world. We have to mention it. Whether or not you actually like Call of Duty, if you jump into those games, the zombie portions of Call of Duty offerings tend to garner their own audiences. Some people seek out Call of Duty just for the zombie modes, and I think that's what makes it so compelling. It's got good zombies that are fun to shoot in a well thought out progression wave-based shooter type thing. You're spending money, you're constantly upgrading your weapons. Yeah, some of the zombie modes have kind of lost the plot and went too wacky, but if you go back to the old days when zombies like first dropped, man, what a time to be alive, a time to be gaming, because that stuff was awesome, and Call of Duty Zombies still has something to this day. Next, over at number 15, we have the House of the Dead Remake. This remake does not totally capture the feel of the old arcade experience, but hey, it's close enough. And the best part is that you can play it with a friend. Yes, just like in the arcades, it's you and a friend shooting zombies on a screen, having a good time. It's totally corny, it's totally cheesy, and the control options aren't perfect, But if you and a friend are on a couch together, this is an undeniably good way to experience a cooperative game. Just a light gun shooter through and through. They don't make these like they used to, and they don't even really make the remakes like they used to make the games, but still, House of the Dead Remake is worth pointing out for a quick good time with a friend. Now, next over at number 14, we have the Dying Light games. Dying Light 2 is pretty good. It doesn't maybe have the legs or the lasting appeal of the first game, which has a ton of content, so we're going to recommend them both. They are an impressive offering of co-op gameplay because you can play through the whole game with a friend, and they're pretty complex games. They're big worlds to explore with free running, parkour, crafting survival elements, and fun zombies to kill in open environments. And it can be even better when you're doing it with a friend, whether you're grappling hooking, climbing, parkouring, or drop kicking zombies in the face together. There's a lot of fun in the Dying Light world alone, but way more when you're with somebody else. Next, over at number 13, we have Deceit, which is a free-to-play title similar to something like Among Us or Unfortunate Spacemen. In this game, players are in a group trying to escape from a certain area, but among the group is an infected player tasked with killing off the others. And you see what we're going for here? Sound familiar? This game is all about trust and deception as you're working with the group in the hopes of luring them away from others. Now, since Deceit has launched, the game has made some adjustments and some tweaks that have divided the player base. Some people don't love it as much. Some of the mechanics have taken away some of the tension, but still, it's totally free, so it's worth checking it out, giving it a shot with a group of friends, and you don't have to spend any money. There are some cool moments to be had with this one, so we figured it's worth a mention. Next, over at number 12, we're going to throw it back to a classic for a second, Resident Evil 5. Now, Resident Evil 5 is one of the more action-oriented games in the series, but it still has that good survival horror tension when you need it. And you can play it with a friend, and that makes it a ton of fun. Resident Evil 5 is like practically built from the ground up for co-op, and it can all be incredibly violent, tense, scary, action-packed, ridiculous, and over the top. While at first, you're going through a creepy village fighting off infected villagers with a lot of survival horror tension, something like, Resident Evil 4, by the end of the game, you're fighting Albert Wesker in a volcano, punching boulders. You've probably heard it by now, but hey, going along that ride with a friend makes it even sweeter. Next, over at number 11, we have Hunt Showdown, which isn't necessarily billed as a horror game through and through, but it certainly has the vibes. If you're looking for something that's just like good, intense battles of you and some players against enemy AI, it's perfect for that. It wears a lot of inspirations on its sleeves for its style in terms of the monsters, the kind of Louisiana swamp style environments. It is dark, it is nasty, and it can be incredibly intense. Also pretty challenging. There's a bit of a learning curve and some stuff you have to get used to, and it's just a really damn solid game on all the platforms. Got some good action, some good shooting, and some good scares. Next, over at number 10, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. Now, this is an asymmetrical multiplayer game, so while it is technically more of a competitive style game with players playing as both the family and as survivors trying to just survive and escape, sticking together as a group can be a lot of fun, especially when you're playing as the survivors, trying to work your way through a faithfully recreated house from the original movie. There is just a lot going on here in terms of like the love letter to the classic movie. Like everything is really faithful and engaging in that respect. In terms of the game, it's fun, it's a good time, but really it's just kind of like if you want to jump in with some friends and kind of live the Texas Chainsaw horror thing for a bit, you can absolutely get that here. Next, over at number 9, sticking to a similar vein, we have Evil Dead the game. If you want to jump in with your friends and play as some of the famous iconic Evil Dead characters and just kill some deadites, this game absolutely delivers on that front. There's a lot more to it in terms of it being an asymmetrical thing with one person playing as a Kandarian demon, but really the best thing about this game is that you can play as Ash, your friend can play as Ash, and you guys can run around and chainsaw shotgun some zombies. That's what I'm looking for in an Evil Dead game, and they totally gave me that with this one. It is not perfect, but if you like Evil Dead style horror, just that zany over the top craziness, the game does deliver in that respect. Next over at number 8, we have Barotrauma, one you may not have heard of, but shout out to some people who have recommended it in comments of other horror game videos we've talked about recently. Now, this comes from a development team that was inspired by stuff like Faster Than Light and RimWorld, and this is set on a moon of Jupiter where humanity has sought out new means of refuge and now lives underwater. So with that, it's kind of a cooperative submarine simulator. And while it is 2D and might seem like it's just a big complicated menu type of thing, it's tense and it's got survival horror elements. It's very stressful to keep the whole submarine thing running, and you're facing off against factions and weird alien creatures. It's procedurally generated, so there's always a lot to kind of just stumble upon, and people have been loving it. The kind of sci-fi space horror vibes they have going here work really, really well. Again, on the surface, you might look at this and just think boring 2D game, but there is a lot going on with this one. It's not for everyone, but for the people that this is for, you're probably gonna love it. Next over at number 7, we have Dead Island 2. Yeah, after so many years, we finally got another Dead Island game. And it's alright, it's not bad, but it's actually really fun to play with friends. The zombie whacking, the zombie exploding, the zombie chopping here is great. It's incredibly satisfying. Zombies get gored up, burned, their flesh decays, and there's a lot going on in terms of the weapons, environmental traps, stuff like that. So when you and a friend are both slicing and dicing on zombies, there's blood everywhere, flesh is flying everywhere, it can be a ton of fun. If you're looking for something just mindless fun, just destroying, mowing down zombies in a tropical paradise, this definitely works. Dead Island 2, more than anything, like, it may not reinvent the wheel, but it gets the job done. Next over at number 6, we have The Quarry. This is the newest game from Supermassive Games, the people behind so many things like Until Dawn and the pretty underrated Dark Pictures anthology. Like, some of those games in that anthology are good, some of them are great, and those had cooperative elements, and so does their newest game, The Quarry. This one is a little bit more slasher focused, like it's a bunch of kids in a camp and they're all goofy, and it's a little bit more lighthearted, but they're all getting killed off one by one, and playing that with some friends can be a lot of fun. It's got local co-op and online multiplayer, and in local, up to 8 friends can play together on the adventure, kind of assigning each other characters, so everybody kind of plays and acts as a different role, making the decisions for that respective character when they're on screen. And it is definitely an alternative way of playing through a game with a friend, but it can be a lot of fun. It's almost like kind of like a party mode. If you're playing with friends online through the online co-op mode, it's got kind of like a voting system, like picking what to do next. Either way, it is a lot of fun, and it's just a good love letter of a game to stuff like An American Werewolf in London, the original Friday the 13th. It's not the scariest thing in the world, but it's good bloody fun. Next over at number 5, we have Devour. This is a stressful game you play with friends where you're working against an evil cultist. You have to sneak around maps together to find these different ritual artifacts that will stop this ritual that the cultist is trying to perform that will send you straight to hell. The big problem is that the cult and like these demon creatures are exploring the areas, hunting you down. So the procedurally generated map will always kind of keep you on your toes, but working together with a friend can hopefully help things out. A lot of people have been really digging this one on Steam, and it's only like $5, so it's worth a shot. Now down to number 4, of course, we had to mention it, Dead by Daylight. This game has a massive following, and if you're new to it, it's a 1v4 game where 4 players are survivors attempting to complete a series of goals to escape the area. Meanwhile, one person is playing the role of like a monster trying to hunt down and kill everyone and stop them from escaping. This game is still heavily supported today with new crossover events constantly being added, all different types of IPs, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream. This game has everything horror, and people have been hooked on the gameplay for a long time, so there's a reason why people keep coming back to this. It's available on pretty much every platform, and if you haven't heard about it by now, well, here you go. Now down over at number 3, we have Phasmophobia. This was a breakout hit in 2020. In this, players are acting as investigators in a paranormal research team, and you're kind of going around environments together or separately, searching for evidence of spirits. You're using ghost hunter tech to try and record these spirits, and the game is just kind of full of surprises. It's a lot of fun if you go in know nothing, so I don't want to spoil too much because it does have a lot of creative aspects to really give you the willies, really kind of chill you to the bone for a little bit. Experiencing it for the first time is definitely something unique. It has been supported for a while, people are still jumping in, so consider Phasmophobia if you haven't already. Now down at number 2, we have the Outlast Trials. Now at this point, if you like horror games, you know about the Outlast games, but the Outlast Trials is a little bit different. This is set years before the first 2 games, during the Cold War, where you're imprisoned and forced to undergo a variety of weird, unethical, torturous experiments, almost like Jigsaw. So instead of just you running around and hiding from creatures and monsters and bad men, it's you and some friends. And now there's some tools that you can use at your disposal to kind of distract or slow enemies down. You're still not engaging in combat, it's more about everything else, but it really works here. There's customizable characters, some really compelling level and enemy design, and there's even fun opportunities where like you can work together in really synergistic ways or just totally screw each other over. They were really clearly inspired by Saw here, but they're still sticking with the whole Outlast vibe, and it absolutely works. People are digging this one for a reason, and we are too. Now down at number 1, we're going out on easy mode, man. Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead is number 1, whether it's Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2, whatever your flavor is, these games are legendary. We really still want Valve to make a new one because these games kind of define the whole zombie horde co-op shooter thing that people have been obsessed with ever since the original released, and we're still waiting for something that hits just like Left 4 Dead. So many studios, developers have tried of varying different levels, whether it's AA, AAA, indie, but nothing is quite like Left 4 Dead. You just had to be there, man. They're still available to play to this day, and the modding and community scenes are out of this world. Left 4 Dead is a legendary franchise, so if we're talking 20 best co-op horror games, we had to mention it at number 1. But like I said, those are 20 of the best co-op horror games, some stuff we wanted to highlight today, so let us know in the comments what you think of these games, but more importantly, there are other games out there, so if you have your own top 10 or your own top 5, give us a recommendation, because people are going to be scrolling through the comments looking for other games, and we'd love to hear it. Anyway, back. Let us know anything you think about these games or anything you're playing at all. We'd love to hear from it. Hopefully you're having a great, scary Halloween season, but thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.